G'day everyone. So you've signed up to Simply Business, you've verified your email, and now you've logged in for the first time and you're seeing a whole bunch of $0 values. There's no sales leads, there's no projects, there's no quotes, there's no tasks. Before you go crazy putting all that information in, we just need to configure some things in settings just so things aren't a bit weird. First thing you want to do is click on your name and go to My Account. And here, the main thing you want to do is set your time zone so that dates are displayed in the right time. So I'm in Melbourne. The next thing you can configure is how long Simply Business will remember your search filters for. I'll just explain how that works. So if I go across to projects and I'm searching for Bob's project, so I type in Bob. There is no Bob's project, but you get the idea. And then I go across to tasks, and then later on I come back to projects. Simply Business will have remembered that filter so that I will see Bob's project straight away and can go straight to it. Now that could be really handy as I'm moving around and I go back and it's remembered where I was at. It'll also be annoying if the next day I go in and I'm looking for a project and I'm wondering why it's not coming up because I'm still searching for Bob. So the way to configure that is go to my account where we were and just change how long you want the system to remember the search filters for, from 1 hour up to 48 hours, and then if you want forever. So it'll always remember the search filters and you'll have to clear them manually. But I set it for 12 hours, which basically means when I come in the morning, the search filters from yesterday are gone and I basically start afresh each day. Another thing you can configure is what you'll see when you first log in. By default, it will be the dashboard, but you might find that another area within Simply Business, a different app, is more useful for you to see straight away. Personally, I set it to the to-do app so that when I log in, the first thing I see is all my tasks that I have to do for that day. And then finally, you can put in your email signature, Kind Regards Demo User. This is just so that when emails are sent out of the system, it has your signature at the bottom. And then if you want to, you can put in your profile picture. You don't have to because we will use your initials if you don't, but it's often a good idea to use your profile picture just so that when people are looking at tasks or tickets, they can easily identify who it's assigned to based on your face being there. Okay, so now we've configured Simply Business for your personal use. We now need to configure it for your company. So to do that, click on the settings icon in the top right-hand side. And the first thing we'll be doing is setting up your organization. Again, we collected some minimum information at sign up, but here you can fill out more detailed information. The first thing to change, if you're not happy with it, is your company alias. Now, what this is for is when Simply Business sends out links for your customers to click on, it identifies who you are by your alias. So if you want something identifiable, you can stick that in the alias. It could be an acronym of your company or your full company name, whatever you want it to be. Okay, next, just put in your phone number and your address because this information will appear on your quotes and invoices. So 1 Demo Street, Demo Town, Vic 311, Australia. And then again, just like with your personal profile pic, you can upload your company logo and this will be visible to your customers. So I will just use my face again because it's such a good company logo. Okay. Now organization is configured, we can go across to subscription and you can choose your subscription plan. Now, the great thing about Simply Business is no matter which plan you choose, you get all the features. So you don't have to pay more to get added features, you just pay more for more storage. So if you use a lot of the file storage, just go to a higher plan. Otherwise, you can stay on starter and you'll be fully featured within Simply Business. Next, we have the email templates. As mentioned before, the system does send out emails, and so here you can configure what those emails look like. Now you can just leave them as the default because Simply Business has used your organization information to create the templates. For example, if we look at the new ticket email, we can see it's got my company logo there, my face, and then all the information for this particular email is already in there. You can just rearrange it, change the wording, do whatever you want, or you can leave them as default, that's fine. Okay, next thing you can configure is your quote terms. This is where you can have different terms for different quote types. For example, smaller quotes, you might just say valid for 30 days. Larger quotes, you might say requires a 50% upfront deposit. So you just type add quote terms, valid 30 days. That's the name of the terms, and then you actually put in the detail of what it is. So valid for 30 days. And that will appear when you choose that particular term in the footer of the quote when the quotes are sent out. So next you can configure your ticket types. So if you want to group your tickets together by what type they are, you can set that up here. So go into ticket types, here, new ticket type. And for example, if you're an IT support business, you might have a lot of requests for printer repairs. So put that in as a ticket type, and then every time someone rings up and says my printer's broken, you can put that ticket against ticket repairs. Next, we have the task groups, and this works similarly. Each of your tasks that you work on during the day can be grouped together. So we can do things like, let's create a task group called admin. So if you've got sort of daily admin tasks you've got to do, then we might have on-site tasks. So we'll put one called on-site, etc., etc. So you can create all the different types of tasks that you do. Then you can configure your invoice terms. This works exactly the same as your quote terms. So you just click on invoice terms and click new invoice terms. For example, we might have 14 days. So then you would say, please pay within 14 days. And you could also put in your BSB and account number 111, or pay ID, or whatever, however you accept payments. And again, that will appear in the footer of your invoice, just like it does for quotes. Next, we have team groups, and this is where you can group your staff together by the type of role that they have. So for example, when I have project manager, we might have admin, and we might have, what else would we have? Sales. So just the ability to group together your staff by what role they have. The next thing you can do is either pre-create or just manage your tags. So tags can be created on the fly as you're working in Simply Business, but this is the area where you'll find them, and you can fix typos or delete tags that aren't being used anymore. They're just a simple entry. So let's create a yellow tag. And so now I can tag something as yellow. And then finally, we have just a few more settings to do with tickets and invoicing under settings. The first thing you can configure is how long a resolved ticket will stay as resolved before Simply Business will automatically close it. Now, what happens in a general flow of a ticket is it gets opened by a customer, you look at it, you allocate it, you work on it, and then you mark it as resolved and tell the customer, hey, I fixed your problem. It's usually then up to them to verify that you fixed it and then close that ticket, and it's then done. They often don't do that step. Once it's fixed, they don't care about it anymore, and so they'll just leave it. And so the system can then automatically close the ticket for you, so you don't just have a whole bunch of resolved tickets that are just clogging up your ticket list. And by default, it's set to 4 weeks, but you can set it as little as 2 weeks all the way out to 16 weeks, and then just never. If you want to manually go in and change the status to closed, you can do that yourself. Similarly, Simply Business will auto-archive a closed ticket after a certain amount of time. So once a ticket is resolved, you could set it to say automatically close after 4 weeks, and then automatically 2 weeks after that, it will be archived, and that will really clean up your ticket list. Again, you can set that from 2 weeks up to 16 weeks, or never again if you don't want Simply Business to automatically archive your tickets. Now, when you do mark a ticket as resolved, Simply Business will send out an email to your customer telling them that it's been resolved, and you can put in the message that will send them. So by default, it will say, hey, this ticket's marked as resolved. If you think it's still not resolved, you can reopen it, or please close it if you think it is closed. Whether they do that or not is up to them. Then finally, we've just got some basic invoice settings. So you can give the name of whatever your tax is that you're in your country. In Australia, it's a GST. So we add GST to our prices. It's a 10% rate. And then we have our billable time code and billable item code, and how you want to prefix your invoices. So we do INV dash, but you don't have to have a prefix, or if you want a prefix, you can do it by whatever you like. And then you can set whether you want your prices to be inclusive or exclusive of GST or tax in your country. So what that will do is if you are doing all your prices ex tax, then when it comes time for invoicing, the system will automatically add the tax on for you. And then finally, if you have Xero, you can choose to connect Simply Business to Xero, and then Simply Business will be able to send invoices straight through to Xero for you. Once you've set all that up, hit save and you're done. And now you can go crazy putting in all your information into Simply Business.